thing. Yeah, I know 642. Isn't that a big number? Like a
That
nice
is a big number.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, you're gonna catch me eventually. You and Nita are just like killing it. Like you what 2-3 shows a day? It seems almost.
Oh, no. We try to do one, sometimes two. And then if I'm a guest or she's a guest on somebody else's show, it could be 3. But, I mean, I think that's a little bit of overkill.
Well, no, it's smart. Like, if I'm going to be perfectly frank about this. So I think it's great business. Like you're probably going to kick my butt on the YouTube subscription thing because I don't focus on YouTube. And you're like, yes, you're right. I don't focus on it.
We were just talking about that today.
Yeah. Like because
our race to 250.
Yeah, you're going to beat me. I'm almost at 140, which again, it's not my focus. And I'm glad you're at 250, but that's.
No, we're not at 250. I think we just hit 157, so it's still making close. Josh.
It's still close. Like, and here's the thing: I'm not focusing on you again. I gave you guys the advantage you guys have is I'm not focusing on YouTube. YouTube for me is my resume, not my. I'm going to try to make money doing YouTube, right? I'm just like that's not my goal there. My goal there is I'm going to put my content there so that people want to see what I can do. There you go. I have a lot of content for everybody to look at. It's like, this is what I could do. Now, I probably could SEO the thing a little bit better because that would probably generate some stuff. Now, I'll have to figure out. YouTube SEO is not quite the same thing as Google SEO. They're a little different, but same idea basically is driving people to come and track. And to people listening, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, it's okay. It's just, it's the technical engineering aspect of these shows. But Twitch has been where I've been focusing on, right? So I like the communities in Twitch a lot better. I just do. And it's just, I feel like I like the energy there. I don't hate YouTube, but it's not my thing, if that makes sense. But going which the way you're saying, the fact that you guys are focusing so much there, you're going to take over. Like that's going to be the thing because I don't know anybody that is as determined as you guys. And I say that with the biggest compliment possible because it's hard to be that enthusiastic. I mean, the only person I know that's putting out as much content as you is Joe Compton. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
You guys should meet. You guys really, really should meet. I think. But
here's the funny thing. It's like for me, YouTube is kind of a residual thing. I want to get to a point where we're doing steady content over there, and there is a pretty broad audience if you can tap into them, and get people to come in and view. But I mean, my long game is like monetization. So I've really been looking at other blockchain sites and not so much YouTube. YouTube is there because it's there. It's kind of like Facebook. People are stuck there. They don't want to move elsewhere, and that's fine. But if you can get one or two people to a different platform, like you're doing with Twitch, getting people over here, I know it's kind of been like for you pulling taffy on a January day. It's tough because, where your audience is, and I know that you're on Facebook, you're pretty active over there. Trying to even get people from Facebook over to Twitch and say, hey, please subscribe is really tough. So that's something that we all struggle with as independent creators and contractors.
Well, it's funny because although I've been active on Facebook, I've been quietly less active on Facebook.
I was this close to leaving Facebook for good, and then I started with Geek Insider in November of 2019.
Well, it's occurred to me like in terms of like social media and stuff like that Facebook and like ironically Twitter is useful on the business end. It's weird, but it's it
absolutely is.
Yeah, it's useful on the business end. Facebook, okay, my audience for my podcast is almost not from Facebook at all. Like it is so it's almost like I'm in this weird thing with Facebook where it's like there are people I love contacting, and I can set interviews on Facebook somewhat easily there. But when you get to like business, I get better results with LinkedIn. I get better results with Twitter. I get better results with Instagram, right? Facebook is in terms of use.
Facebook hates us.
Well, it's worthless, and
and that's because we're not throwing money at it. We're trying to make money from them, and honestly, Facebook does not want to pay you.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, even if I was throwing money at them, I'm not sure it'd be worth my time,
Mhm.
you know. And I'm being just really weird, like really honest, saying that is I don't think Facebook is like a viable business model for anybody. There are uses to Facebook ads, but there's an art. Like again, you're gonna have to throw money at it, and that's not a company I want to throw money at. I don't want to throw money at Amazon either. They certainly don't need it, but I will get more of a result from Amazon than I will from Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just I'm looking at this like strictly from a business end. Facebook's become kind of worthless, and there are some like social things I still use it for, but business wise, I like my. Like I've certainly lately I've been burning followers with some of the things I've been saying in the last little bit. It's okay. It's all good. I think at this time, in this time in this place, you just gotta be honest with what you stand for, and you gotta be real with it, because otherwise, what's the point? Like I am who I am. That's it. Like, if you don't like it, and if you don't like what I'm saying,
yeah, like it or lump it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm too old. I'm too old to give a shit. And it's funny too, because the way I've also said it, I've made people very uncomfortable in like the best way, because it's like I can prove what I'm saying. Ergo, what do you got? And what I've been finding now is it's no longer factual anymore. It's gotten to like level of, well, your personal attacks, like you're cherry picking, or you're doing this, or you're doing. No, I'm not. I wish I was. I'm not, right? And so it's one of those things where I can see it. I see what's coming. I see what's going. It's like you just wake up one day and you realize, well, you got to take a stand. But the truth of the matter is, I also like about Facebook in itself. It's not useful. It's a waste of energy more often than not. That's where
it's a time suck. It really, it can be a time suck. You have to really find ways to use that time efficiently. Like, what are you doing over there to move the needle for either your own project or somebody else's, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's something that, I used to spend so many hours on Facebook doing those games and, like the OMG things and the surveys and everything else like that. And I just realized how much time I was wasting. So when something came up and I was saying I was busy, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm over here playing Candy Crush. No, that is not a good use of my time, and I've gotten to a point where I really don't do that anymore. I mean, if I grab my phone and I'm about to fall asleep and I play a couple of games, that's it. But honestly, like all that other stuff, I don't have the time for it.
I'm still a collectible card game whore. I fully admit that. I fully and totally admit that. But the cool thing about a collectible card game is they don't take that long. Like it's at most an hour of my day, and that's still a lot of time.
That's okay. That's okay. That's like lunchtime. That's
basically I play with my digital cards, and I do math for an hour. Is essentially what I'm doing, because that's what collectible card games, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much math. How can I get a person from 20 to 0? Is basically it. It's glorified math, figuring out all the ways. It's interesting. Like, it is interesting, some of the calculations you can come up with. That's what it is. It just
is that how you get your brain to relax at night?
Yeah. Well, no, because it's simpler problem solving. Like yeah, right. Like sometimes you're gonna get your butt kicked because it's cards. There's a luck aspect to it. It's like you're drawing like from your deck, and sometimes you're not gonna get what you need. It's just not gonna work out that way. You're just gonna be looking at it. It's like, I have 5 different ways to get out of this, and I draw them like the lemon. I'm like, well, I didn't draw those that way out. I guess I'm screwed. And that's just the way it is, right? That's the game part. Like, if I was guaranteed to win every time, it would be boring, right? So, but what's interesting is, like, sometimes I'll look at it. Okay, he's going to kill me next turn. I have to deal with all this stuff. is there a way? Again, this is just this is strategy, right? So is there a way with what I have? I look at let's say the Lectol's at 8. Is there a way for me to do 8 damage in one turn before he kills me? Because it's like instead of trying to deal with these giant monster things that I have no chance of dealing with all of them, can I go straight in chess? You go straight for the king, right? You go like the king is the key. Like the rest of the chess pieces don't matter. Can you get the king, right? You can get like the board you can actually have the board handed to you the whole time. But you get the king, you win. That's how this works, right? So that's how the game is played. So it's like in cards, if I beat the player, if I get the player to 0, though I got the king. It's over. It doesn't matter what the field is. But so yeah, it's just me. It's just simple problem solving. Can my deck do the cool thing I want it to do? Yes. Remember, that's the first thing. Sometimes I epically fail there too. But that's another altogether. But to me, it epically works. Can I solve the problem I'm trying to solve? And yeah, it's just basically I don't, because if I lose, there's no consequences, right? Right? There's no consequence. I get my ass kicked. Big deal. Life has handed me my ass many times, and it will hand me my ass many more. I have accepted this. It's okay. So, that's how it is. So yeah, like that's my relax. I read too. I listen to music, but I keep it very, very simple at this point in my life.
Yeah. Well, you know why? I try to keep it as simple as possible. I love the KISS theory, right? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Keep it simple, because everything else, you just don't know what's going to be thrown at you, and then it's like some days you just feel like you're always on defense. And what we can gain from it, what we can learn from it, and all that stuff, or just like survive the day. There have been days where I'm just like, oh man, maybe I should just go to bed so I can hit the reset button, and start over tomorrow. It's like every day, start fresh. It's like, wow, take care of what you can as far as the loose ends and things like that, and the things that'll keep. They'll be waiting for you tomorrow. Sometimes you just have to hit the reset button.
Well, it's also about not being yourself hard. Like, again, this month I made no money, but again, my food was taken care of, things were taken care of, but I made no money. Next week, I make tons of money, right? I think the ultimate cool thing about a freelancer is you get multiple checks at once. And it's like, oh my God, every day is payday, and it's awesome. There's nothing like it. Like, there's literally nothing like it in terms of a regular day job. But what it comes down to when you look at it and you see it and you go for it and you do it is the pardon me. It's the fact that you recognize that there's going to be points in this whole journey. It's not about what you're in control of, because life will remind you all the time there ain't that much you're in control of. Like, there really isn't. I show up, I do my job, I try to do the best I can with the hand I'm dealt with. Sometimes the deck of cards, we're going to use the deck of cards here. Sometimes I get pocket aces and I'm golden. Sometimes I get pocket 2s, or I get a 4 and a 7. And
you can control your reaction.
Exactly. That's it. And sometimes playing the bad hand still works out. Actually, I like it from a poker standpoint.
Sure. That's what the bluff is all about.
Well, actually, sometimes it even works out in your favor regardless. Like you can't just play good hands in poker, because if you only play good hands, you get read like a book, right? You gotta play bad hands sometimes too. So sometimes I'll take this crappy ass, like, oh my gosh, 4-9. What the hell am I? I'll play it. Screw it. I'm gonna go to least to the flop. Let's see what happens. So there was this one. I remember this one poker night. Like, I had every time I had a 4. First time I played it, I got 3 4s on the flop. So it was like, 4's my thing. And every time 4s came up, like my friends were like, it got to the point.
Got psyched out.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They got to the point. They got to the point with me when they saw 4s and they saw me. I was still in the game. They folded. They just like, no, we're not going to beat this. He's got this hand. I don't know why, but he's got this hand. So So sometimes playing a bad hand, right? You have to, and sometimes it's not a bad hand. It looks like a bad hand, but it's not actually a bad hand. It's the reality of the situation is it's sometimes like you sometimes are stuck with what you got. Like pocket twos is not a great hand. It can be beaten by a lot of things, but sometimes none of those things show up. And then sometimes you'll have pocket aces and you'll get busted by like a flush, right? And you'll be like, how? How did this happen? Right? And like I think my favorite poker story. My buddy won the hand. Me and him both had flushes, and the other guy had pocket queens. He looked at his hand. He looked at us. It's like one of us busted him. I busted him, and my friend had an even like I had the king. My friend had the ace. It was like he looked at us. It was like because it was a good hand. We had it was the hand to play. I still lost. I was like I can't believe I lost that hand because I had the flush and that was there, right? He only had one card that could beat me, but it's but again, that's how it works, right? Right? That's how life works. So sometimes you think you have the winning hand, and the truth is you don't. And sometimes you think you have the losing hand, but you play it anyway because sometimes you still win. Sometimes it's just meant to go your way. So you just do the best you can sometimes, and it's just like it's just like it works out. Or even if it doesn't, well, I mean, I had a shitty hand anyway. I mean, I was expecting an ass kicking at this point, so and that sounds like maybe a really dumb way of looking at it, but I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like I'm not afraid to get my ass kicked anymore, so it's like I'm gonna take the beating anyway. Might as well see if I can get something for it. I don't know. Maybe that just seems like a really dumb way of looking at it, but
it doesn't. You know why? Because I think, like in the psychology of things, a lot of people are just flat out used to failure. They're flat out used to things going wrong. I mean, and a lot of times it's just, it's easy. It's easy to fall down, but it takes energy to get back up. It takes energy to move forward. You know, and so I think that goes with a lot of things in attitude. When because it's like you can fall down. Well, you can stay down. That's your choice. But if you feel like, hey, I don't need to be here. I'm going to use some energy to get my ass up and get going and climb out of this or drag myself out of this, whatever, because at the end of the day, you know what? I'm not dead yet. There's more stuff for me to do. There's more stuff for me to learn. And I have goals. Sometimes they're little goals. I mean, there are days when I think we've had this conversation before, Josh, when I said I've had the dark days where the only thing that I had on my to-do list was a shower. And there were days when I couldn't even do that. And talk about feeling like a failure when you can't even get your ass in the shower and throw some soap on your body, because that happens. And it's like, okay, well, I need a better day than that. So the next day it's like, okay, I'm going to accomplish that, and let me tack on something else that I know that I can accomplish, so that I feel better. And those little tiny goals accumulate, and you make bigger goals, and then you see, like more far-reaching ones, kind of like what you're doing with your freelancing. You set your sight on something, and you're going to fall down. You're going to pick yourself back up. You're going to get other jobs. You're going to have, income coming your way, and sometimes you're going to have dry spots, and that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But you keep getting up because you've got your eye on the ball.
Well, I'm too old to work for people. Like that's what I literally come to the point in my life. This summer I would occasionally do temporary jobs, and I realized I wasn't like an employee anymore. I just realized it real quick when I was there. It wasn't like a refusal to do work. It's my attitude about doing the work. It's not like, no, I won't do this for no money. It's not even that. It's just I do not look at a boss the same way anymore. I can't do it. Right? Mm-hmm. It's like, you tell me what to do it. Okay. Well, we expect this and this out of you. And I'm like, that's nice. Nah. And it's like, it's not that I'm trying to be disrespectful. It's just the fact that I know what this job entails. Mm-hmm. And I know that I can look at an expectation whether it's unrealistic or not, because I've been on the outside. There was this one place I did, like they put me on this job that I had no training with. So my attitude was just really simple. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not going to care about the results, because my logic is just really simple. If you really cared about the results, you would put me with somebody to get me comfortable with this process before you let me go. Instead, you just put me in there and you put in sink or swim. I'm like, oh, okay, do my best, and I did my absolute best. But I didn't care, because from my point of view, the company didn't care. Because if the company had cared, they would have put somebody there, or have me do something I'm already proven I can do, and put somebody there that knows what they're doing. It's that simple, right, to me, right? And again, I'm not going to feel bad I didn't do the job well, because what chance? Like, you didn't exactly give me a sporting chance to do it.
Right. Did you give me any tools to succeed here?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna sweat it, because it doesn't mean anything to me. So you try to tell me, well, we want a better job from you next time. It's like, I'll just tell you, well, train me. Don't put me in a situation where I'm doomed to fail, or I have to be very lucky to succeed. I'm not gonna worry about it. And I just that's not how a lot of employees think. So, and again, I don't think that way anymore. So I've hit that point where I can't go back. And so I'm like, well, come this far, fuck it. That might sound like really, but that's it. Like, I also I recognize the fact that we live in a world where sovereignty is discouraged. And I think, honestly, the reason it's discouraged is because you recognize, like, you don't. Something a really big thought that hit me, and I realized something this year. This is the big thought. We don't need a lot of the systems in place anymore, at all. Back to the okay, let's talk comics for a second here. DC and Marvel don't matter. I had this really interesting thought the other day about this. I know some people are going to be like, no, hear me out. It makes no sense for an aspiring creator to want to have their end goal be DC or Marvel anymore, business-wise, strictly on a business level. Not like, you have, look, we all got those stories we want to tell. For me, there's a Green Lantern story I would love to tell. I tell it once, I don't care. I'm happy. I've done like that fanboy super cool moment. But if we're talking strictly on a business level, there is more money in the long term for me to establish my own intellectual property and being able to sell it multiple different ways than it is for me to build somebody else's intellectual property. This doesn't mean I won't do it. Again, I'm a freelancer, and I am that kind of whore. But when you get right down to it, right, from a long-term perspective, it makes super little sense to me. And then I realized something too. DC, Marvel, IDW, Boom, all these companies, and again, not knocking any of them. They're all successful and they've earned all their stuff. They're only a tiny corner of the universe now. Right? I can go on Kickstarter and I can see stuff you've done. I can go see stuff Chuck Pinot has done. Chuck is literally everywhere. He's like the Where's Waldo of editing. Like, he's literally on almost every other book. Hey, it's Chuck. How he's doing, buddy? But then there's but I had Ronnie last time. We were talking about this. Like, Ronnie is doing his own stuff. It's more lucrative for him in the long run to build this property. Kaylin Smith is one of my favorite creatives. I don't see her ever doing a mainstream book unless they pay her a fuck ton of money, because for her, it's not worth it. Why would she do it? She's got her own successful property. She's kicking all kinds of butt. She can sell and resell her stuff over and over again, right?
Well, there's that whole thing about, people will say, hey, you got to pay your dues, right? Pay your dues. work for this, do that, get your name out there. And, most of us, when we're coming out of the gate, I mean, there's no audience. So you got to find your audience. You're not going to get jobs unless you have something on your resume. So not only, it's like, okay, that's great. I mean, some people really feel like those things are the brass ring. For them, it might be, but then for others, it might be like, hey, if I get this credit here, and I bust my ass there for other people for a couple of years, at least I'm getting my name known. I got something on my resume, and then I can go out there and maybe I'll have a better chance of landing these other jobs, or striking out on my own and trying to get a good name out there and a reputation built on my own merit. So it's like everybody has their different pathway of getting there. I've talked to Chuck before. We've had a couple of interviews and live streams together, and he once said, he's like, I want to get on as many books as possible and put my name out there. I want to be known for my editing. But now he's writing. He's been doing the podcasting. I mean, he's branched out from those things because he's hustled and he's gotten his name out there that, and I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I would assume that he's like, he finally reached a spot where he said, you know what, based on my merit, I'm going to do this. This is the pathway. And it's something that I myself have been doing, maybe not so much in comic books. I mean, I've been fully immersed in comic books for the last 2 years now. My biggest struggle is getting enough freelance work so I can pay an artist because I don't do the art.
Yeah, well, and I'm teaching myself how to draw. I'm actually doing I'm doing this tonight. Like when we're done here, I post the new podcast for the audio. So I've already done my YouTube episode for the day. And what I'm going to be doing is, so my sister likes, I said something I'll never understand with women, right? Women, for some reason, dig skulls. I don't understand it.
I love skulls.
Every woman does. I had this, see, again, I'm half Maltese, like my background's Maltese and German. And so now I understand, I have a different understanding as to why skulls were collected as trophies now from battle. It has nothing to do with what the guy wanted. It was to impress his girl, his significant other, his wife, whatever, because
bring me his head.
Yeah, that's it. That was literally it. I understand, again, human nature doesn't change at all, really. It's been the same forever. Now I have a deeper understanding of it now, because I get it now. It's like now it's like with a woman, it's like I'm not gonna get I'm gonna ask them up front, flowers or skulls. I'm literally gonna ask them up front, because that is literally how I'm gonna do this, because I recognize this because I've drawn with enough of you. I've seen enough of you. I've talked to enough of you. It's like, now I understand my answer. Why did my ancestor literally take the heads of his enemies? I have a different answer now than most people. It's like, because there was this girl he liked that really wanted the skull of this particular person. And now I'm like, and it makes total sense.
It's so twisted and dark, and I love it.
Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong.
I don't know. I don't think you're wrong either.
Yeah. I don't think I'm wrong. That's the thing. It's like I suddenly understand. It's like, why? I probably talked to my ancestors. So why'd you do this? It's like, yeah, press the chick. I'm not doing this for me. I'm certainly not doing this for me. I just like getting laid, and this is what I'm doing.
I will bring her this head. She will display this skull on the mantle.
Yeah, that's it. I'll just bring the skull. She just wants the skull.
It kind of makes me wonder now that you said that, because it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, skulls or flowers. It's like, if she says flowers, it's like, dude, high maintenance. Hope you have a good job. Think about it.
I think it's high maintenance, by the way. That's a lot of work. I'm just saying, that is a lot of work. So, I mean, I really have to care about you to want skulls. It's something that just. So I posted a drawing of the skull. My sister goes, I would love to get a tattoo. I was like, really? Okay, fine. So I'll draw a spear with a bunch of different skulls on a pipe, just a bunch of different pipes and skulls. For you, tattoo this, right? Because I just realized, like, you know what? Why fight this? I don't understand it. I don't pretend like I have like the perfect answer to this, but but I definitely have cracked you up with this thought. So I feel I think there's a big part of like your inner. It's like, yes, if my husband did bring me the skull of my enemies, I would actually think that would be that would be awesome. That would be pretty fucking cool. And you're nodding your head, so I think it's something.
I love the dark, Josh. I mean, I write the dark stuff, so I'm like, huh,
Makes
yeah,
sense,
yeah.
right?
I think I could totally,
It
use the
makes
skull
sense.
cap as a bowl or something like
Yeah,
that. Sure.
it oddly makes sense, right? There's not
Candle holders.
exactly. I have this deep It's like I discovered something by accident. It's like women are fucking crazy. It's like I knew that before, but now I like there's a different, like I'm on a different level with it, right? And it's just like this is why a man very wisely should be a little afraid of his wife, for just a little bit, because not only is she sleeping with you, but I mean, like she wants the skulls of her enemies. So don't become her enemy because it might be your skull you're
Right,
wearing.
right. It might be your last.
Yeah. We're a strange
Uh,
race. We are a strange, strange race. It's just like one of those things. I had that like epiphany. It's like it's so true. I don't think I. Here's the thing. I don't think anyone can argue against what I'm saying.
yeah, I'd be interested to see what the comments are about this one.
I would almost say they would almost say to me. I think I think some of them would say to me, "Whoa," like it's like, well, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I just recognized it. It was just like one of those like universal things. Like women dig skulls. I don't understand it, but I now understand. I think I understand now my ancestors slightly more now. It's like I get it. I get it. I'm batshit crazy. Oh God.
My joke is that I have the blood of Genghis Khan running through my veins. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, I think there's like a 70% chance that there is truth to that.
I think on like if we're being very very honest as a species, right? We have I tend to agree with Jordan Peterson on one thing. It's the idea is we all value a little danger, the ability to perceive it and to grasp it in consequence. What the value is, though, where it's really useful is if you can discipline that. It's almost like having coming to peace with your inner demons. If you can look at those dark places inside yourself and be like, I can accept those for what they are, and I can control those things. Right? You are a much more complete human being than someone that doesn't. I'll never think in those terms. Like, yeah, you will, right? Yeah, you will. You'll just deny it a lot more. Whereas a guy like me, it's like, well, this is a weird but yet odd thing, and it seems to fit how the universe works, and it's funny, but I mean, it's just like, but the fact that I can see something like that doesn't make me like again. The fact is, it doesn't make me. I'm not going to go start decapitating heads, but right. I mean, it's just right. It's just the fact that I understand.
It makes great fodder for fiction,
yeah,
for
absolutely,
your stories and things
absolutely.
like that. And quite honestly, like what you were saying about the danger aspect, it's that dopamine rush.
Yeah.
It's like that little bit of a rush that is kind of exciting. As long as it doesn't kill you. That's the trick.
The balance there, like there has to be a real danger of it killing you. That's the thing. Like that's the real challenge of it, right? So I go on a motorcycle. Why? Like we know that a motorcycle, if we screw up, we go flying. There's no seatbelt. There's the helmet. Let's be perfectly honest. It's better than nothing. But let's be perfectly blunt. Depending on how you crash, it isn't going to matter that much, right?
Yeah.
It's just not. Why do people do it? Because it's a rush. When you're in like a place of fear, right? There's life in that. There's that you're aware of everything in a way you wouldn't be aware of any other time. Like I'm totally a fear junkie, and I know this. Like this, like I'd be the guy like skydiving 10 times a day. It's like whee! Every time. because, and I say that like that because I understand, like, it's that moth to a flame. You look for that little bit of adrenaline because it's a high. It's a one of a kind high you can't get anywhere else, right? And it's like, yeah, we live for that stuff because we want to feel something all the time. We don't want to be like, oh God, life is just this numb, boring continuation. No, I mean, who the fuck wants that, right?
No, but I have to say, having suffered from like seasonal depression and things like that, there are times when I embrace the dark place. Where I will fall off the face of the internet. Nobody will see me posting, and it's hard enough to get off the couch. Now, it's been a couple years since I've been that extreme in the dark place, but when it's there, I do recognize it, and sometimes it's even tempting to go there. And I'm talking about it like it's a physical place, but in a way, it almost feels that way because you are fully immersed in your feels and all of that. But at the same time, um, I know it's not a healthy place, because then I don't want to move. I don't want to function. I don't want to interact. I don't want to, like I was saying earlier, you fall down. It's really easy to fall down, and sometimes you just don't have the energy or the desire to get back up again. And so sometimes I don't know that it's a bad thing to visit every once in a while to remember where you don't want to be all the time.
It's no one can be happy. Like I know I'm like this happy dude. Apparently, people see me as this happy-go-lucky guy, but I mean,
You can't maintain that.
no, God, no,
It's not realistic. Yeah.
no. It doesn't mean anything if I'm happy all the time either.
Mhm.
Like it becomes. I mentioned this, like, writing wise, happiness and joy is the hardest thing to write because it's such a special place
Mhm.
in everybody's life. Like, that true happiness is so hard. It is a little corny, it is a little sappy, but there is a point of believability because it's almost like you want to cry almost because it's such a rare and precious thing, and deep down we all know it,
Mhm.
and it never lasts, right? But in that moment, it can be truly one of the most wonderful things in the world.
Oh, sure.
And it is such a hard thing to write well because it's almost like you breathe the wrong way, it's gone. It's that fragile. And so if someone comes around and it's like, oh, be a vibe, be super, super duper. I'm a positive guy. I try to uplift people relatively regularly. But even I'm like, it's gotta be from a real place.
Mhm.
And if I don't have that real place, I don't try to do it because it's not there. It's not real. Um, it's not me, right? So you need those, like, hey, there's some days I feel like I'm a complete asshole. There are other days I'm gonna sleep on the couch because I'm okay with that. There are some days I'm going to play Chrono Trigger because I do like video games and fuck it, I'm gonna play Chrono Trigger. But then there are other days where it's like, okay, you gotta make some fucking money, right?
Mhm.
So you gotta man the fuck up and like go for it. And it doesn't matter what you have to be able to control what you feel. Like, control, like, you can feel anything you want. Can you keep going? It's when you can't keep going that's when it becomes a serious, serious problem. And that's a very tricky thing. And I think for everybody, that's a different level, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you even said it with writing, trying to convey those emotions and things like that. And I don't know about you, but when I'm writing something and I'm feeling it, I'm I'm really feeling it. If I'm writing the sexy, I want to feel hot. If I'm writing something scary, I want to be scared. And it's all of those things where if I'm not feeling it as a writer, how could I possibly expect you as a reader to feel those things? Because those emotions are not unique to me. Emotion for the most part is universal. We all see pain in the same way. Um, or joy. It's like there are certain characteristics, whether it's a facial expression or whether it's how we feel on the inside, that's kind of universal. So when we can tap into those as a creative and share that, because we just literally cried into a page, you want to see tears from your readers later on, and say, wow, that touched me. And that to me is the barometer for good writing or movie making or music or dance. You see people doing all of these things out there, and when it touches you on an emotional level, that's where we make that connection. That's magic.
Absolutely. And no, that's the heart of storytelling. You're not gonna, like, even this podcast.
Anybody can throw words on a page. Really, anybody can throw words on a page. But is it going to move you? I'm sorry, you were saying something about this podcast.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like we're having a conversation, right? And I make people think, and I make, like, these are the things I do. I make people think about life a little bit, because we talk about everything. We talk about skulls. We talk about feelings. We're going a little bit into like depression a little bit here. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, like again, there's a feeling I'm trying to convey in the show, because I know when this is over, no one's going to remember everything that's said here. And saying that no one's going to remember everything read in the story, or no one's going to remember every single cool dance move. I remember one or two. Like, the cool thing about dance, sometimes you'll see something and you'll be like, oh shit, that was awesome. There's an athletic expression that's cool. But for something to truly, truly, truly stick, you have to be able to connect to your audience, whoever that audience is. And it's one of those situations where I just realized that I can write about anything I want. It's freeing once you understand this, because, like, I can write about a fucking jar of dirt. Now, the challenge is, how can I make you care about this jar of dirt? Because that's the real challenge. So I figure that out, I can tell a damn good story. Yeah. I can tell a story about a chocolate chip cookie that doesn't want to be eaten. I mean, that's a really easy one. It's like, don't eat me, but I can't help it. You're so sweet and tasty. And that's like, you could literally have a cookie trying to beg for its life, and it could be a very funny, engaging, wonderful part of the story, right? Or maybe you can make it serious, right? Hey, it's not my fault I'm so sweet and tasty. Leave me the fuck alone, right? Because, right, it's just like, you could do some really fun things, right?
Or it could be totally dark, and it's like the crumbs are its entrails.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just oh yeah, you go like Elijah.
Oh yeah,
right.
Fun stuff.
But the point is, like, you're not going to care that it's about a chocolate chip cookie at the end of the day. You're going to care about, what did I make you feel about that chocolate chip cookie?
Exactly.
Did you feel sad when seriously, the cookie's getting eaten, guys? That's the end of the story. If you don't think otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see? You would totally eat that fucking smart mouth cookie. You totally would. You totally would.
She totally would.
But the thing is, here's the question, Nita. Would you, however, let that thing talk you down a little bit? Like, did that get insulting, have a big mouth before you devour the thing? Or would you just shh, don't talk. It's my time. You're going in my belly. That's where you're going. You're going in.
No. Drown that shit in milk.
Yeah. So we could actually do like waterboarding for a cookie. Right? I am a horrible human being.
Totally do that. Mix it up with a spoon. I'll suck you up with a straw, dude. Don't backtalk.
Oh my god.
Don't backtalk me.
Wow. This is the first even for me. Wow. Holy
there crap. You go. So Josh's next story is going to be about a cookie, a smart mouth cookie. That's right. See? Yep. Drown his ass in milk.
And I'm just going to kill that motherfucker. Then drown that bastard.
Oh my goodness.
What have I done? What have I started here? Jesus. Holy crap. But yeah, I'm an award winner. Okay? This is why, right? Shit like this, totally. Oh my god. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. We got sidetracked with cookies. Cookies and milk.
We just went to torturing cookies. I mean, literally, I admit, again, first time for everything on this show. We have talking about how do we do torture chocolate chip cookies.
Well, that's what happens when you put a couple of creative brains together, you know.
I was telling you, I thought I was. I get it. We were trying to connect to an audience. Anyone listening to this and not have a straight face, I don't know what the hell to tell you. But that connection is what really, really makes or breaks a story. It's always about that connection, and I realize this now that I'm older / wiser and all that bullshit. When I was younger, hey, really cool ideas. I still love really cool ideas. Right now, like I said, I'm finishing off. All right, how is Alice in Wonderland going to deal with a dragon that has all his multiple personalities from delirium of no sleep show up in the shadow? Different dragon heads just pop out of the shadow, and it's a different person every time. It's like, that's a cool idea, right? But at the same time, it's like, what's the point of the story, right? And that's that. I'm not going to say here. You're going to have to read the book when it comes out because, dang it, that's just how it goes. You can play with really cool ideas. But at the end of the day, it's about the story you care about telling. And that's, I think about it, it's about all of us. Like, it's this life to me, honestly, I think that for all of us, whether we want to admit this or not, it's about finding out what we give a crap about.
Well, you know, and there are some people who are really motivated by their legacy. Like, what are they going to leave behind? You know,
I'm not so worried about that. I had that beaten out of me.
For some people, it might be next generation. For some people, it is storytelling. You know, it's like leaving your words behind and things like that. And, you know, so I don't know. I'm motivated when it comes to creative things. I'm motivated by probably getting the voices out of my head. You know, people have, a popular question is, why do you write? Or why do you create the things that you do? It's like, because I have to. If I don't, I think my head would probably explode. You know, it's like, what better medium to get this stuff out of my head than on paper? Because I don't have time for jail. You know? And I know I would probably get caught eventually, but, you know, I just don't have time for jail. So that, you know, all of that stuff, all of the dark and the twisty and all that stuff, that is reserved for paper. But it also helps me, you know, on the day-to-day function, keep my sense of humor, because the stuff that I love to write is like murdery and bloodletting and oftentimes rage or something that's really scary. And, you know, so that's reserved for this. The Hulk stuff goes on paper, you know, so everybody else can get the alter ego, if you will.
I find people, this is what I have found. People go, I write dark, weird shit. Yeah, you do. But if you go deeper than that, and you can do this with a lot of people, I have learned, because I have this unique perspective because I've interviewed so many people. So now I can usually figure out what someone really gives a shit about now based on what they're writing about. Not so much their big idea, but the things they're talking about in there are genuinely human. In terms of like legacy, like, I'm being honest, like, I would love kids someday. I would. I think I'd be a great dad. I think I would be this, especially with a little girl. I think probably with a daughter, I'd probably be completely clueless, and it would be probably like God's way of saying that this is the most hilarious adventure. I have this, Daddy, can you buy me a pony? He's like, oh no. Right? Yes. Murdery Meredith are hot. I would make a bet that even though she's very murdery and bloody and gory, I would probably say that the stuff she really, really cares about is also in her stories as well. Like, okay, that's the dressing. I like this dark, weird, heavy metal stuff here. Let's get to like the heart. It's like, oh, she's a sweetheart at the end of the day. And I'm almost willing to bet, because most people, here's what I have found. Most people that say they got this dark stuff in them, they do. But they're also like the sweetest people when they're not doing it. And what you often find with people with like that are into this really dark stuff, it's not that they're dark. They just give a shit, and they just see a lot of crap that goes on around them that they want to figure out an answer for. And I find that like, that's a noble thing, right? Because life sometimes isn't fair.
Hmm. Well, for me personally, it's I consider myself pretty low maintenance. I don't. I've had friends who literally said, "Hey, I'm not going to be happy until I have $1 million in the bank." Their motivation is money. It's like, okay, what are you going to do to make that money? What are you going to do to get that in the bank? For me, it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, money's important. I got to pay my bills. I'd like a roof over my head. I want, food in the fridge and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I really like helping people, and it's something that I've been doing for such a long time, probably because of my own experiences and the realization that I'm not alone, in my experiences, in my dark, in my bad, in my depression, none of that. I'm not alone. There's always somebody out there who can kind of relate. And if they can relate to me because they've been through it, then certainly people who are going through it now will relate, and maybe they won't feel so alone either. Because there are times when we feel truly lonely. I mean, you can be in a room full of people and feel completely alone. It's happened more than once. So how do we get past that? How do we connect with people? How do we help them based on our experiences and things like that? So that's always been one of my passions. Is like, hey, I know what that feels like, and it feels like shit. You know what? I'm not there anymore, but I can relate. And here are some of the tools that I can give you. Take them or leave them. It's up to you. That's what free will is all about. But if it helps you, great. Pay it forward. That's what I'm all about. Pay it forward.
Well, so it's weird because I never would like I would say I know what seasonal depression feels like. Maltese, lack of sun does do very terrible things. Like when I'm in the sun, I
Hmm.
feel like I'm Superman. There's like nothing I can't do. When I'm not like no sun, it's like I'm so depressed. But like winter's brutal sometimes. Now I not drugs. My dad's a naturopath. I've learned all kinds of tricks to stem it off. But there are days like when I feel like it's hard. I think there's a thing in all of us that we have this tendency to think we're alone because especially when we're in pain. When we're in pain, we feel that more than any other point in the world. I remember like for me, when I was in my most pain was like years ago when I was in Arizona, and I wasn't sure how, like I was doing stupid things to just get by, just ridiculous, like miraculous things. I suffered an incredible amount in the time I was doing those things. I didn't see all the people that were helping me until years later. And I feel like going through that, I realized it with enough time behind it, with enough time behind it, um, I recognized the fact that maybe, just maybe, that I had to reconsider it. And then I came to this really, really weird realization is that, no matter how much we may want to be sometimes, we're never truly alone, right? And it's the there are people in your life that are willing to be there for you if you ask them. They be there tomorrow. There are other people who you know who wouldn't or won't or do their thing, and that's life. Like that is life in a way that took me a long time to figure that out. And I think the trick is, I think one of the hardest things to learn is when you are in pain is let people in the share, and people that, I mean, finding that trust is hard because you're vulnerable in those moments. I think that's what makes that such a tricky balance is to let people in when you're in the most pain means you gotta drop that armor. And and for a lot of people, that's a very, bye, bye, Anita. Bye, Anita. So it was. I'm sorry about the therapy. Just where we went with the conversation. But it's just you recognize the fact that I think the hardest thing, one of the hardest things to do in this world is to trust people, and learning how to filter that out, filter good and bad, the quote unquote good and bad people out. That's a life process, and I can understand why people prefer solitary company after a while too, because it can be a very brutal process.
Yeah, sometimes we just have to kind of sit with ourselves. I've got another friend of mine who cannot sit still, uh, cannot have a quiet moment in conversation. And I'm sure you've met people like that where it's just they have to fill in the space. And it's like, how about just sitting quietly in each other's company? And that was something that, like, my father and I used to do all the time, you know? Um, and I remember my mother coming up to me and going, "What do you guys talk about the whole time?" Because I would go over to their house and just hang out, and he'd play music and he'd be working, I'd be doing my own thing, and sometimes it wasn't about talking; it was just by being in each other's presence. But I have friends who just they can't do that. They've got to fill the space. They've got to say something because I've come to realize, and this is from conversations that I've had with them, that they're not comfortable in their own company. So it's got to be filled with something, whether it's dancing, whether it's singing, whether it's just always keeping busy rather than just kind of sitting and meditating and contemplating your own day. And I try to take a moment every day to at least sit with myself.
So what you're talking about there is, because I used to be that guy, and what I realized is there's a restlessness. But anxiety might be the right word.
Anxiety is probably part of it. Yeah.
Anxiety might have been the right word, but I think what it really is a restlessness because at some point in our lives, we have to deal with the parts of ourselves we're not comfortable with. And for everybody, that comes at a different point in their lives. But sooner or later, we got to look at, like, going back to some of this dark and weird shit we were talking about with skulls and crap like that earlier, making peace with those demons in your inner darkness. Some of the things about you that you don't necessarily like or agree with. I have limitations as a person. There are things I do not handle well. There are things, like, I know I could be an incredibly big asshole. A lot of people say, no, you can't. It's like, no, I really can. There is definitely that in me. There is definitely that inside me. But again, it's having that recognition of who you are and who you can be and who you're not, right? I can't be, I like, again, talking about the very beginning, some things I just can't be silent on anymore. There's just a part of me that's just like, I can't do it. It's just not who I am. I can't. Then there are other people, who can be silent because, again, it's who they are. It's recognizing that every one of us has our own answers, right? And understand, like, but yeah, that need for silence. It's nice when you just have just your thoughts in there, and you can listen to your thoughts and hear what you or the universe has to say to you, because that listening is relaxing, actually.
Yeah. I I find that it's necessary, just to have those quiet moments because then for me it's healing. It's like, okay, let's flush out the day. Let's just take a little bit of me time because you know as well as I do. You're out there, you're hustling. You're trying to land jobs. You're trying to put your best face forward. You're trying to um, you know social media is so hard because everything is out there if you allow it to be. And so with so many people kind of pouring stuff out, good, bad, ugly, whatever. Um, it's exhausting because we have made ourselves kind of available to everybody 24/7, and that's not healthy, you know. So shutting it down and taking a moment to just be quiet and reflect and have that moment is healing. It allows you to kind of purge the ugly and sort through what you've been going through. And for me, and this is like, my kids are grown, you know, I have 3 boys and they're grown. In fact, I'm a grandmother. So um, having having raised them, and I kind of joke. I said, well, they survived me, and with my humor and my imperfections and everything like that, they survived.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I told them was like, listen, if you cannot survive me, you're not going to survive this world. And you're going to see some of these imperfections. You're going to see my temper. You're going to see my humor. You're going to see my crazy. And it's okay to be to express your weird. That's something that Nita and I do when we do Raging. We have that interaction. We're showing our weird. All right, we do these crazy challenges. In fact, one of my favorites. It wasn't because the challenge itself was when we did these sour gummy worms. Okay, and my daughter-in-law sent me a picture of my grandbaby in the swing facing the TV, and there's me on the TV eating these damn worms. And in the caption, she said, look, grandma's eating worms again. And you have no idea how much joy that brought me. I was so happy to see that, because that is something that I hope she keeps and shares when my granddaughter's a little older, because I want to be that example that it's okay to be imperfect and weird and a little kooky, because some people will love you for it. Some people would rather not deal with you, and that's okay. But be yourself, have fun, and that I kind of love that example for her.
So my favorite job interview while I lived in the city happened about almost a year ago, and it was hilarious. I broke him because I broke him. I just broke him, and it did nothing other than just be myself. They asked me all these questions. And I'm just being honest. Because I don't give a shit. This is who I am. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not, because it's too much work. I'm a lazy fuck. I mean, I'm just like, it's much easier just to be honest about yourself than just try to create this. It's too much like work. I don't know how people do it. That's them, not me. Fuck that shit. I'm not gonna do it. And he starts laughing in the middle. I didn't say anything funny. I was just answering honestly. Right? He just starts breaking down, laughing. And I look at him, it's like, why are you laughing? Because I don't think it was bad. He just goes, oh my god, no bullshit whatsoever. Like, literally, that's what you said. Like, this is you. I can tell you're not thinking about it. You're just telling me what you think, and I so refreshed. Like, because again, you hear so much crap,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's crap. It's a wonder. It's a wonder we can be suckered sometimes. Sometimes I actually truly believe this. It's a wonder we can be suckered, because this world, I have seen so much bullshit. I can smell it a mile away. I can hear it, and it's just like, how?
But not always, Josh. Not always.
No, no one's perfect. I don't see everything, but you see so well. I actually we'll go a little deeper. I think what happens is your sense of it just gets overwhelmed because there's so much of it out there. Some of it just slips through the cracks, right? You just get bombarded that you have no defense. Because sometimes I will literally walk out. I will listen to people. Sometimes. I can usually tell really quickly if you're full of shit or not. I can usually tell really fast, right? And just it's all in the presentation. It's the hilarious part. You just once you understand how a presentation works, you can see it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was getting accosted by this salesman. I just walked in because I was coming in to visit her, and I listened to him for all of a minute, and I was like, you need to go because I don't think she needs what you're having. And it's like, oh, what are you looking for? And he goes through this like, my dad's naturopath, so it's like, I do naturopathic stuff. It's like, okay, I'll hear you out. Did this giant ass presentation that was hot garbage. I just was like, I don't care about any of this crap. Show me what you got. Read the ingredients. It's junk. Get out. It's done. It's like, what do you mean? It's junk. I don't know what this is. This is. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. You don't either. So I don't care what your presentation says. This is shit. Bye. Right? Because again, if the thing's truthful, you're going to show the truth. Like, this is what it does. This is how it works. You're not going to give me this song and dance about right. how wonderful it is, right? Yeah. So, but people
just look at the shiny thing while I do this over here.
Yeah. When someone tries to show me a shiny thing, it's like, nah, no. Wait, show me your other hand. What are you doing right now? Like, what are you doing? Because it's unbelievable. It is such a. We live in this world. It's like, oh, look at the shiny thing. Watch the shiny coin. Mm-hmm. Don't watch your wallet, but watch the shiny coin. It's like, what the hell is this? How? Like, it's like, how do I like? Again, maybe I am that kind of asshole. It's just one of those things where it's just like I look at it and go, how do you fool anybody? How? Right? Because you can look and you can see. I'm a sucker in other things. There are other things I have fully admit. Pretty face can definitely fool me for at least a few minutes. I'm not going to lie. It does happen. I am totally honest about that. Right? But, it's one of those things. It's one of those situations where I'm just so. How? I mean, maybe I feel like maybe I don't think I'm a genius. It's just like it's just that obvious to me sometimes. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. Like I said,
it's the bullshit-o-meter.
Yeah. As you get older, it goes like through the fucking roof. Like just
right. I used to have so much more patience for other people's bullshit, and because I don't know if it was just if it's personality or if it's cultural or anything like that. But for me, a lot of times it was very important for other people to save face. For other people to save face. So, you kind of give them a pass, maybe, or you're a little bit more diplomatic than you need to be, or you turn a blind eye because you're like, oh, that's embarrassing. I'm going to pretend I didn't see it so he could save face, And the older that I'm getting, it's just like my filter is getting much smaller than it used to be. And I still have that diplomacy, don't get me wrong, but the tolerance level of that is I will remove myself faster than I normally would have, in that case.
If so, like I said to some of the shows, if I find that you're passive aggressive, my rates triple. Mm-hmm. I'm not dealing with that shit unless you pay me very well because it's a headache.
Yeah.
It's
the asshole tax.
It is the asshole. I openly admit I have giant asshole taxes. Because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. And right. Yeah. It is the asshole tax. And if they pay it, it's like you almost don't want them to pay it.
Well,
right?
So I'll give you an example. I had someone that was very much. Whenever I did business dealings with them in the past, they were just very passive aggressive. There's just certain. I did not like that feeling, like when I was dealing with this individual. So they came to me. It's like I would love to dedicate an episode a month just to my clients. And I'm like, in my head, this is what I'm thinking in my head. Do I want to deal with this person every single minute, right? And then I basically was like, No, I don't. I really just don't. So I first had to ask, okay, what's this worth? Because that took a minute for me to figure it out. Because the first time, because I had to figure out what this would be really worth to me if I were really to offer this to anybody.
Right.
You never know; it might come up again, and it might be somebody I actually will want to do business with, and I'll be a lot more like, okay, this is fair, right? But but I'm like, okay, how much do I want to deal with this guy's crap when things go haywire?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Oh God. Okay. So what would it cost me to do this and not present it? Double? Nope. Triple. That's what I offered. That's what I threw at him. Because a triple, I'll do it with a smile.
Yeah, but what about like a straight off no?
No. Because here's the deal, right? One, I want to see how serious they actually are. First off, this. Here's the other thing too. This is the other thing I've learned about being a freelancer. Money talks, bullshit walks. You don't sell yourself cheap, right? You have to be an expensive hooker. This is how I've learned. What I've learned about this is they don't respect you unless there's a certain price tag that comes about. So, what you want to see is, are they willing to pay? Now, obviously, I wasn't expecting them to pay that much money. However, there's this sign I remember just going to this like small business complaint post, $50 an hour, $50. So you put $50 in, you can complain about whatever you want, and he'll listen to you for exactly 1 hour. And I was like, there's a genius to that, because here's the deal. At that point, I don't resent sending it to you, right? Like the biggest thing I've learned about hustling for work, hustling for work in general, is you're doing this because you love to do this. That doesn't mean that you're going to love to work with everyone, though. So what you got to make a ground rule is, what kind of crap are you willing to put up with?
Mm-hmm.
So, and because rules are made to be broken, Lord knows I've broken many in my life, and I'll break a lot more probably sooner than later. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing is, right? How much is it going to cost for me to break my own rules? And that's in my head, and that is legitimately in my head, because if I'm going to take a risk, my integrity is everything, right? There is a cost. Well, I'll break my integrity for good, but it'll be the last time I do it too. Like it'll be one, and then I'm retired, because that's how much it's going to cost. That without integrity, you got nothing. So basically, I'm ready to walk away from this business, from any business I do, if I compromise my integrity. That's just the way it is. But for everything else, you'll break the rules if the price is right. And I think that's just the reality of business. So you put it out there, and you put it in your own head. It's like, this motherfucker might be able to pay me. I don't really want to work with this motherfucker. What cost will it take for me to work with this motherfucker? Mm-hmm. And right, and that's just like, that might sound a really like cynical way of doing it, but it works, and sometimes you will get paid for it, and then you just do it with a smile. All right, because
because you set that number for what you would deal, and probably chances are, if they're willing to pay that, it's because they've probably burnt bridges, even paying the asshole tax with other people. So don't assume that you're the first one out there.
Exactly.
Commanding that kind of price. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's better just to have it, and you always know what you are willing to deal with. Mm-hmm. And then always be smart to realize, okay, what would it take for you to break your own rules? Right? Mm-hmm. And what would it take? And just be honest with yourself about it. Because, like, again, the right price, everything's compromised. It sounds like terrible, but it's the truth. You will, if the money's right, you'll figure out a way to make it work. Right? Yes, that's right. And that's why you always do consultation, right? Because it really varies on who you're dealing with. Now, some people you will deal with that are great. Some people are going to be complete and utter dog shit. That's just the way it is. And one of the biggest rules I've learned as a freelancer is, don't sell yourself too short, because that's when you're going to deal with nothing but assholes. It's finding that nice balance where you deal with people you want to deal with at the price where you can actually make a living doing it. And that's the real journey of a freelancer. But once you have that, you're good, you know?
My own experience from being a singer was that for the longest time I would sing for funerals or weddings and things like that, and I would have no charge for it. And I realized I wasn't getting any phone calls, you know, for from the organization, the church, or the funeral home or whatever. And it was just like, oh, well, they assumed that I was doing a favor, or they assumed that I wasn't taking myself seriously. But as word went out, you know, it somebody approached me and said, people are a little bit leery when you put your skill out there for free. They don't know if you are a problem or if your skill set is. So she said, never go out there and do stuff for free. Now I have to, and so once I started charging for the service, then I was starting to get regular jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same. But the struggle with people who are getting out there, who are trying to, what we were talking about before, is pad your resume a little bit with this experience and stuff like that. It's like paying your dues. It's like you might take that crappy job. You might go for the brass ring and realize that it's dog shit. But all of those things, all of those experiences, you can put on your resume, and you can put in your file of been there, done that, and whether you want to go there again and drink from the well, or if you're going to walk away. Those are all things that are really kind of important to accumulate. And then from there, we've had this conversation with Imparo. It's like, what is your value at that point? And that's when you have to sit in those quiet moments and figure out, what am I worth? How do I compare with other services? What is everybody else doing? And how can I be better? How can I rise just high enough above them so that people see me for what I can do? And that's the trick. That's the hard part. And a lot of times we get in our own damn way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because the work isn't out there. It's because we're in our own damn way.
That's rule 5. I have 8 rules to success. That's the 5th rule. Get out of your fucking way. I say it exactly like that because it's true. Like your job. Then we'll start winding this down. Your job as an individual, in terms of whatever you go for in this life. Here's the paradox of success: you can do everything right and still fail. Life is not fair. That all said, that works both ways. We'll get back to that. But here's the important part. Your job initially is, okay, I want to turn this podcast into making money. What can get in my way? A lack of audience. Let's grow. A lack of good guests. I have an incredible big mouth, and I seem to attract good people like yourself all the time. So I don't have that problem. Scalability. Working on it. That's something that's going to, like I said, I'm going to be playing with ads, not of the Facebook variety, but ads nonetheless, to encourage people to come listen to my show more as I get more sponsorships. That is happening too, and that's really, really freaking cool. Right? So I'm looking at all these things. Okay, so which of these things can I control? Quality. Hey, look, I got a microphone. Did that with my own. Did that as a freelancer because it's an investment into my business. That's something that needs to be done, and I have to keep investing into myself. That's just part of this game. That's just the way it is. But assuming I keep investing in myself, assuming I keep doing what I'm doing, which is keep creating content out like this all the time, much like you guys do with your show, and sooner or later, more and more people will start to notice you. And when that happens, right? When that happens, then doors will open. That's the cool thing about life being unfair too, is it'll open doors in ways you'll never expect, which is super cool. And we'll go back to Nia's comment 2 weeks ago. You would argue that down. At some point, you got to come on my show, Nia, and you're going to have to tell me some of your experiences too. I definitely, you're the other. I love Meredith, but I still want to interview you at some point on your own. So, that'll say, like, that's the thing. The biggest challenge in life is this: figuring out how you want to live, figure out how you want to live, and figure out what you're willing to do to make these things happen, and respect what can get in your way as a result. If you're willing to do those things, you will succeed. It may not be what you imagine it to look like. Lord knows it hasn't with me, right? But you will succeed because you'll have done everything. You'll do the one right thing, which is you've gotten out of your own way. You showed up. You do your stuff all the time. You succeed or fail. It doesn't matter, but keeping going. And then eventually, inevitably, that thing you visualize in your head will become reality. And then, assuming you can handle the reality you've created, which is another big other part of getting out of your own way, you keep paying it forward and you keep building on how much you have, and suddenly you're undeniable. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. What doors open?
You don't know. You don't know what door is going to open. You don't know what window is going to open, what door is going to get slammed in your face. You know, sometimes you have to kick a damn wall down.
Sometimes we don't have a ton of time to do this. You have to come back when you have a lot longer. We'll talk about some of our, because one of the biggest things that I was hoping to talk this time, but I don't think we have time for this now, is how you got into comic books and how you're like this rockin' granny kicking our ass writing these cool books. But I'm putting
that on a t-shirt, rockin' granny.
Rockin'. Meredith Loughran is a rocking granny that makes kick-ass comic books, ladies and gentlemen. And that is who she is. And she also likes skulls.
I like skulls, and I like the dark.
And preferably the heads of her enemies. It's true. Oh, it's true. She also tends to lay low for a while, but we'll let you figure out why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to watch the replay of this show. And make sure you hit the button. That is like my call sign anymore. Hit the button. When you're out there, here's the thing. We are all out there hustling, whether you're a creative, whether you're a freelancer, it doesn't matter. It's like if we want to share something, we've got to get past our friends and family, right? So by me coming onto your show, you've been on ours, we're trying to cross-pollinate our audiences and things like that. And honestly, a click of a button is not that hard. That's why I say hit the button all the time. It's like wherever it is you're tuning in from, hit the share button, subscribe, leave a comment. All of those things help, with Josh's show, trying to get a greater audience so that he can monetize, trying to get over to our YouTube channel so that we can, get to reaching our goals and things like that. My motivation is talking to people and getting their Genesis story, much like what you like to do, Josh. And I love talking to people and hearing their experiences, because again, we are unique as people, but our experiences and our emotions, those are not. And so when we can share that out and relate to other people, that is the connection. That is the common thread through all of these things. And for people who feel like, oh, I can't pay it forward because my audience will go away, is such small thinking that it frustrates the hell out of me. The world is big enough. Our imaginations are big enough for all of us to have a little bit of love, So share it out, pay it forward. It's not that difficult.
And on that note, I think we've had a very fun interview here. What do you think? I had you laughing quite a bit there.
You did. And I definitely want to see a story about a cookie.
Okay.
Josh, that's got to happen.
All right. The challenge accepted. I got a challenge accepted. I got to get some actual articles done before I can actually do it. But I promise I might even try the tragedy of the chocolate chip cookie. Actually, Nita, are you still there? Are you still there?
Boy.
I have a question for you. Right? Can you be the murderer of the cookie? I think you'd be okay. I think you'd be okay with it. If not, we can get Rockin' Granny here right?
You get the Raging Cajun killing the cookie. It's all
That's what I
good.
want. I want the Raging Cajun killing the cookie. Are
That-
you good with that? Would you be good being the evil villain of the story? No.
Oh no, she says that she wasn't here. So
Yeah. Oh, okay.
she knows you're onto her. Oh yes, always.
Oh,
She
I know
is
she
the
knows
Raging Cajun.
I know she knows I'm on there. That's why she doesn't want to come on the show.
Good luck with that, Josh.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you don't mind me plugging something
I was
here.
just about to get to that. Like, you need to start promoting your stuff here so we can do the wrap up, and then we can talk for a few minutes after about just. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that our team is working on is an Indiegogo. It's called Greed, and it's on Indiegogo right now. And I've got one of the covers here in front of me. That is the Mortal Kombat homage cover that is available over there. Now, the books are already in print, and that is at igg.me/@/greed001. So we're going to have that campaign going for I want to say another 25 days. There are a lot of covers that you can choose from. It's a really good book, and it is a spinoff from The Listener, and that is written by Dustin Brunel. So you can head over there. Let me just put the link in here real quick for Josh.
Yeah, let people see the link.
So that is one project that we are working on, and we're also going to be building out the Kickstarter campaign for Greed 2. So this is kind of a lead up to that, and we're books are pretty much on hand. The only thing that we're waiting for is the exclusive cover to be printed, because that is an Indiegogo exclusive. But yeah, we've got covers by April Grady Reyna, Frank Forte, Rich Parada, a lot of people over there who've brought their talent to these covers. The other thing that I have is the Compendium of Dread, Volume 1. And when I come back, Josh, I'm going to tell you the story about this book and how this book came to life. Okay, but the Compendium of Dread, this is the Kickstarter edition. It is limited to 100 print copies. So when I fulfilled the Kickstarter, I didn't sell 100 copies, but I have 100 copies only, and that's because it has some of the roughs from my artist Antonio Brandao, who is doing the comic book for one of the stories within this book. So I've taken the prose and I've scripted it out, and so this Kickstarter exclusive has those 8 preview pages for the roughs, and it is a collection of stories that I have written over a course of, I want to say, 4 or 5 years. But again, when we get back, because I do have to get going. When we sit again, I will tell you the story about the Compendium of Dread and how that came to be, because that my name on there by itself, that wasn't supposed to happen.
That's like a heck of a cliffhanger for next time. So for folks watching, listening, thank you for watching, listening to this episode, Just Josh. And tomorrow it's Drink and Draw. I'm drawing Full Metal Alchemist with Shani O. That's what I'm going to be drawing, is Full Metal Alchemist. So you want to see me try to draw Edward Elric, you can do so tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Beyond that, definitely check out Meredith's Kickstarter and Indiegogo's, and also their YouTube. You should actually mention your YouTube channel.
If you go over to YouTube and you do a search for Ragin AVC, I'll drop the link here for Josh too.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Probably should. That's your other big thing that you're doing all the time. You probably should mention the show.
Well, Ragin ABC is, we do a couple of shows, actually. Just Ragin is our daily vlog, and that is where Nita and I kind of hang out, and we do goofy stuff, and we do package reveals. In fact, today we had Memoirs of an Angel, and that is from Brian Rodman. But it was for his the Nebulizer Kickstarter campaign. So we did a mail call for that, giving him much love. He does the Dastardly Dingoes podcast. So there's another one you can follow. But yeah, we do mail call. We just kind of hang out. And I say that the Actually Just Ragin vlog is the show about nothing and everything, but mostly nothing. But we also have an interview show, which is Ragin With. And that is where we love to get the Genesis story from our creators who sit in the hot seat with us. We try to do that once a week, mostly on Fridays, sometimes Thursdays and Fridays. So make sure you guys tune in and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Right. And for everybody watching and listening, thank you very much. This podcast is sponsored by Jennifer Lieberman's Year of the What. You can definitely check out her audiobook. Check the link in the episode description below when we get to the listener to see a chance to win it. Sign up for her newsletter and do so. For this podcast, if you want to support this podcast, you can hit the like, follow button on Twitch, twitch.tv/JustJoshingPodcast. My YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. Hit the like, subscribe, and enable notifications on said place so you can actually go and see when I post up some of the older episodes of Just Joshing, full video, everything pretty much there. My book, Atlas Zero, is nominated for the Elgin Award. It's available now. Atlas 1 tentatively comes out November 1st. I might be pushing it back just slightly as I'm planning on relocating to another part of the country very, very shortly. Might slow this down just a touch, but I promise you it'll be worth the wait. For everybody else watching, listening, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay inspired. Keep making beautiful things. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.